I am here to share the virtual industry tours information, and let me tell you a little bit about us. So I am actually a workforce partnership specialist at the Nebraska Department of Education. So the reason I'm here is because we have some pre-made virtual industry tours. We call them our career tours, and we have them available on really just openly available. It was something that was a project financed by Perkins dollars, and so we make it widely available. There's no login or anything that you have to do. Teachers all over, I mean, it's intended for Nebraska, but anybody can view it. So I'm going to share some information about that today and kind of take you guys on a little whirl around the web page. Probably won't take the whole hour, but I just want to make sure everybody sees what we have and what you can do with it. So hopefully this will, okay, trying to get my screen to advance here. There you go. Okay. Sorry guys. Okay, there you go. So similar to South Dakota, we have kind of a continuum of workplace experiences. Yours is a little different from ours, but if you look at the phases, they're similar in a lot of ways. Yours have kind of grades attached to them, but I want you to notice that in our continuum, we have kind of the first chunk is learning about work, and then we have learning through work. So our career videos are really kind of in this learning about work area. And I just want to make sure that's understood, because for us, that would be not considered work-based learning. It'd be considered a workplace experiences. It might be different in your state. I just kind of wanted to hone that. So let you guys know that. So there you go. Those are our awareness and exploration. So that's where these are kind of housed in our system. All right, similar to South Dakota, we also have 16 career clusters, and you'll find videos on our website in each of those. And there's actually a handful in each. I think the smallest number would be 2, but most of them like 2, 3, 4 videos for each different cluster, kind of depended on the resources available at the time. But and our clusters, it looks like there's a little bit of difference between ours and yours, but not much. So I'll just, you guys can always, I saved this to the resources, by the way, so anybody who wants to look can do so. All right, so what do we have on this website? Give me 1 second here. Oh boy. Okay, so if you go to the website, and I'll take you guys there in a few moments, we have a couple things. There's video content, and then there are also discussion guides. So in the video content area, you're going to notice that with each video, it's not just a video of somebody walking around. It has interviews with employees, with business and industry reps that are there. They actually talk about work requirements, education levels for the different jobs there, salary expectations, and job prospects. You'll also hear them talking about different, like you'll go on the tour of the site, they'll show you the various workplaces, labs, things like that. And then other relevant data will also be brought into that discussion during the tour. Labor market data, industry-wide salaries, different kind of ranges and things like that. And then they'll also often talk about related career paths, which I find very helpful because, and I think it's probably similar in a lot of areas of South Dakota, but sometimes when you're dealing with the schools that are more out in the rural area, they might not have as much access to one industry and might not see examples of that. And then the question starts to kind of formulate in the student's mind, hey, where do I want to go? What could be similar? Could I learn about this instead? And that'll get me kind of started. So we have that information on there as well. And then the other thing on the website, it's a resource page with discussion guides and a couple other resources. This is where I feel like there's a lot of value added. I have seen career videos through many states or many even adjacent companies that are out there. Right now, I'm sure you guys are getting this, everybody's kind of trying to peddle peddle their wares, right? Try to sell you something. And a lot of it's good, but you have to look at what comes with it. So if you get a video that just kind of walks around and it does a tour, but then there's no supporting material for the teachers, then you're not doing, it's not as much of a robust experience. So we made sure that when this was created, that discussion guides were created for each one. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to take you to the main site so we can kind of look around, and then I'll show you the kinds of things we have on the resources page. I do want to say, I know it was recommended that we are careful about video, so I don't know if it would, you know, we could probably start one and just give a quick show of it. Not, you know, I just want to give you guys an idea of what it's like. But if you go to the main page, Nebraska Career Clusters is kind of the official name of the page, just because it was tied into our cluster development. And then there's, of course, an about page, industries. So if you don't want to scroll through and look at all of the videos that are kind of showcased on the front page, on the home page, you can actually go down and pick from the particular industry cluster that you're looking at. So that's handy. And then the resource page, and then there's a contact page. So you guys can also reach out, feel free to reach out to me. I'll have my information shared on this document as well, and on the supplemental resources. But even if you just have questions, because we're happy to share it, we're always working to develop more. And we're also working to fine tune and update the materials that kind of come with it. So again, fair warning that, you know, they said audio doesn't always sync right, but I just want you guys to get an idea of these videos. They're very different. They're very kind of warm and friendly, I would say, more so than a lot of industry videos. And that's because they actually get in there ahead of time. They spent several days with the industry and business leaders that they met with and talked to them and got to know them a little bit. So it wasn't just like show up and start talking. So you'll see that in this sample.
And just so you know, we cannot hear it, but you probably hear that maybe on your end there.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I had heard that was sometimes an issue. I just wanted you guys to be able to see even if you look at it, there's a different feel, which is something that they went for, because I know that the teens and like preteens and teens are tending to be the audience, and you need to have a different feel for when you're working with them to keep their attention. Those videos move at a decent clip, and again, the guides that you'll see with them that I'll show shortly, they have a lot of material, kind of even before they watch the video, some material to kind of prep the whole experience. So again, on that first page, there's just that little intro, and I encourage you guys, when you're finished, you can go hop on and check that out. But it's short. There's like, you know, just 30 seconds and 40 seconds and little intro. There's, again, if you want to just browse, you can kind of roll over each one of these, and then it shows you the different links, or you can go to that drop-down list that I showed earlier. In each of these, again, you'll have those interviews, the tour itself, and then other information. And then, and I'll mention also, a lot of the data and the information that we gathered to make these was in partnership with our Nebraska Department of Labor and our Nebraska Department of Economic Development. I'm sure you guys have a similar setup, but for us, there's a lot of agency partnerships on all these related projects because they're all tied into the workforce building, which is what we're doing with our kids. So I'm going to take you guys now to the resource page. I left it so that you could look at it separately in the PowerPoint presentation. I just left that separate link for you all so that you can just get there on your own if you wanted to, but I'm just going to go from the page here. Okay. A little information about the project, but really the focus is going to be here. There's kind of an overall, again, PDF where you can look at the project information, but the discussion guides here are really what I want to draw your attention to. For each one of these, it's a clickable link to discussion guides for that area. I'm going to start with just the AF&R to start with the agriculture, food, natural resources. And it'll take you to a PDF. Again, these are downloadable, printable, etc. It starts with kind of, you know, each one of them starts with, hey, what do I expect from this piece? And then the second page in the guide will talk about that particular cluster. Again, they don't 100% match with your clusters, but most of them will, which is why we were approached to share this with you. Even industry across, you know, from industry to industry, South Dakota does have some different industry and some different industry approaches, but there's a lot of similarities. And so I think until you guys are able to have your own group of these videos, this could really be helpful for the teachers, especially right now while, you know, this potential for remote teaching is going to be there. As you scroll down, so on the third page, it starts with a note to the instructor. So remember, these guides are not something that you would print and hand out to the students. These are really for the instructor. And it's just a helpful thing that they could use to kind of build that curriculum piece for themselves. Each one of them has links in them to our information, like where the information came from. So you guys could use or not use this. I think you have a lot of similar resources yourselves, but for instance, this h3.ne.gov, this goes to our H3 website. Do you guys have an H3 website? I don't even know. It's like this will bring you to figure out, so teachers could look at, hey, what are the top 10 occupations by demand that are high wage, high demand, high skill in each region. So for us, it can take you to different regions in Nebraska. Even if you don't have something like that, there could be some similarities with some of our regions to your regions. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to go back to that page where I was. Sorry about that. Okay. If I can get there. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so again, lots of resources, even if they're not directly usable for the teacher, they can give them some ideas and some access to pieces. The other thing I like about these is that they come with little segments in there. So bell ringer, that's something to give attention to the students. For example, in this one, I like this one because it's it takes there's a link to the US Census page, and it has like their pop clock that shows the population at that moment, our country versus worldwide. And then excuse me, and then at the end of a class, the teacher could say, hey, by the way, let's check that pop clock, and it'll show the growth of the population in the time it takes for the class. Now, a lot of people think, well, what does that have to do with agriculture, for instance? Well, a lot. It's feeding people, right? So to watch that watch that jump in just the time of a class, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, from the time they first checked it, it's kind of neat for the students to see that. Okay. The next thing that's on there, anticipatory set. So there is guidance to help the teachers think about the importance of different careers in the particular cluster discussed. So it has some leading questions and activities that you could do. And then introductory questions. So still you haven't showed, as the teacher is using this guide, they haven't shown the video yet. So these were all leading up to it. Introductory questions. So before the video, they can respond in journals or ask questions out loud. You know, what do you think of agriculture? Or, you know, what types of jobs come to mind? Things like that. Are these careers you might be interested in? Again, before they watch the video. Then they show the video. So for this one, it's a 16-minute virtual industry tour. So that's actually a pretty, it moves at a fast pace for the students to keep their attention, but it's not like a 5-minute video. It's in depth. And for this particular one, for the agriculture natural resources, it's Central Valley Ag, HDR, and Omaha Steaks are in the video. So it's kind of interesting. The variety, you've got kind of the more retail end. You've got the engineering and manufacturing end of agriculture, and then a big ag company. So there's a lot of different things in here. And then after that, there's follow-up questions and things like that. All of this is stuff that you could tweak or use as you wish. You could print them and just use them as they are. Again, we're happy to share them. We used Perkins funds to have this to pay for this, so we are happy to share it. And again, I would, since your teachers are in South Dakota, perhaps you want to look at, okay, what are some of the differences between ours? That could actually be another piece of the lesson that isn't on ours. Could be, hey, what are the differences between our neighboring states? So just some thoughts. I know that when we talk to Iowa about some of these things, that we also we do that a lot. We kind of compare and contrast. So notice it's not just a couple little questions. I mean, in this guide, the follow-up questions, there's 13 of them. And then we always finish up with extended learning activities. So there are things that the students can do, like join a CTSO, right? Career and Technical Service student organization. And then it gives some examples, some project examples, some different websites or history channels, different TV shows that they could view. For ours, we also have, it'll take them to some of the organizations that are out there, like the beef industry organizations, pork industry organizations, etc. Excuse me. Again and again. So there's many pages. And then the nice thing that I like is that they finish up with this kind of grid where they can, you know, a teacher has something where they can just like give a quick overview for planning. Like, what's the website? What's on it? What can I do with it? What's the website? So maybe you guys can't be using, you know, maybe it wouldn't be as useful to hit our H3 website, but definitely ONET Online, which is national, right? And can drill down to your local information, or regional at least. Let's see here. And then just some general pages that you can print and share with the students if you wanted to. Some kind of career planning pages. So it's a pretty robust guide to just be accompanying a video. So when I first was brought on board in the NDE, Nebraska Department of Education, and they told me they had videos. I have seen videos from other places before, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, nice. And then they said, no, go look at what we have to go with it. And I think actually what's to go with it is just as impressive. So you guys are welcome to use them. If you see things in there that, you know, that, again, that don't necessarily 100% apply, I would encourage you to find other ways to, you know, other access points. What else could go with it? Okay, so let me navigate back to the PowerPoint. Actually, you know what? I want to do one more thing here. Sorry, guys. Okay. Hopefully everybody can still see my screen. So I'm back to that one page, the one part of my PowerPoint where I have the links, and I just set those up again so that you guys can look again more quickly. So just notice the discussion guides. You're going to see if you click on any one of these, there's a lot of similarities in the way they're set up, but you will notice that they're not identical, that they're definitely different for each piece. They all start with this kind of general information. But again, the bell ringers are different. Why? Because the information that's shared in the video is different. Okay. So I'm going to go back. All right, so I would really like to just open it up for questions. I know this is kind of a shorter share out than maybe some of the other sessions, but really our career pages are kind of, those tour pages are pretty self-explanatory, and because the sharing the video here isn't really that helpful, I would rather give you all some time to maybe investigate it. In fact, Jamie, maybe we can do that if somebody wants to go investigate those for a minute or two, you know, and then come back and ask questions, then we can do that. Something, you know, I'm open to it. I'm gonna page down. So I'll leave it for questions. I will put my face back on there, although I kind of like the picture better. Oh. So have we gotten any questions?
You all should be able to unmute yourself if you do have a question, or if you do want to drop one down in the chat. Hopefully I did get those correct links in there. If you do want to go check it out, you certainly can.
Thank you for sharing those links.
Yes. I found it kind of fun. I did go to the population clock one. I didn't even know that existed, so that was very cool.
I really like that. You know, when the first time I saw that, I mean, I've heard of the population clock, but I hadn't really thought of, you know, like, okay, how would I use that? But again, with my kids, my own kids, I've used it. They're like, you know, what's the census about? I said, oh, this is a great opportunity to talk about the census and the related information. Sorry, it's bouncing. I know. Okay. If you don't have questions, don't feel bad. A lot of times we think of those later, so you can always reach out to me. I did share my information. And again, I feel like this is a good resource for everybody. If every state could do this, that'd be great. I think I would love it if we had some national ones that showed industry, you know, nationwide, and just look, let me say that again, a look at industry nationwide. I think that would be really helpful. But these were done by a local video production company in partnership with our agencies. Yeah, the substitute. Yeah, so somebody said this would be a great resource if teacher is gone. That's the other nice thing about it, is they can kind of set it, and, you know, and even come back and, you know, go over the follow-up questions the next day. So that's also kind of, you know, cool, because it doesn't have to be a one and done. You can revisit it. Some of our teachers also will view, you know, all of the different pieces of a cluster, and then they'll come back and compare, you know, then they'll do another cluster, and then they'll compare what the students learned for in each cluster, like kind of a compare and contrast. What's different, what's the same. And for us, we always encourage that all this information is paired with a discussion on the labor market data for that region. So if I have students that are viewing these out in the Panhandle region, you know, if they're looking at, let's say, the computer information, right? CIT, what does that look like out there? You know, are there jobs? Are they mostly remote? Are they, you know, what kind of companies are out there? So, and so we often have the teachers, we have them reach out to the Department of Labor reps in those areas. Ours partner that way. So they are very welcome to receiving questions from the schools all the time. We try to build these partnerships. Hopefully you guys cannot hear my dog chewing his bone in the background.
I was thinking these would be such a great tool during remote learning if that needed, but Deb made a great suggestion too, that for authentic activities when you have a substitute, sometimes those are hard to come up with, and this would be a great time to use that as well.
I like that. I agree with that. I know I understand, but also get annoyed when my kids come home from school and say, we watched Nemo because, because the teacher was gone today. I'm like, you're in 7th grade. Like, seriously? There wasn't some better thing to turn on?
If you guys have any other questions, you're certainly welcome to ask them. Otherwise, we won't hold you here. Spend your last 20 minutes out exploring their website and enjoying that quiet time to get to explore. We know that 20 minutes of uninterrupted time is precious too.
Gift.
Yeah.
Yes, and like I said, feel free to reach out to us because we're working to add more, and really I've been talking to other states who are also looking at these saying, wait, we need to make our own, which I encourage, especially if there are different industries. But I think there's, like I said, I think there is a lot of similarity between your industries and clusters and ours. So I think, you could use these without too much adjustment.
Does look like there is a question of, can you show me the lessons again or where they are located?
Sure. Definitely. Okay, so give me 1 second here. Okay, so on the main site, see if I can get there from here. I'll just back up. You always have to navigate a little differently in in Zoom, right? Okay, so if I were on the first page, and just so you guys know, it's nebraskacareerclusters.com. That's the website. Simple. Okay, and then you're going to go under resources. You see that at the top of the page? Okay, and click, and they're all right there. And each one is a downloadable PDF. There are some other resources under here, but they're part of Nebraska's career development toolkit. So I'm not sure that they would be of interest, but again, each one of these, very easy to click on. Any other questions?
It did look like someone did say that we can compare your information with what we have in the SD My Life for job statistics.
Oh.
Some of that comparing of what you guys have and what we have up here.
That's a good idea. So is that SD My Life, is that a Department of Education page, or is that Department of Labor, or?
I should know. I'm
You don't know?
learning.
I'm just curious. That's okay. We never have to have all the answers. We just have to know who to ask or where to look.
I just know that students can access that with their K-12.
Oh, okay. So it's
email.
it's something
so
that
yes,
the
Department
students
of
can
Ed.
look at. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. I hadn't heard it. We don't have really a student access point statewide, other than Nebraska Career Connections, which is the Cooter-based assessment portfolio tool. That's what ours have, but it's not, you know, they all have different links to get there. So I didn't recognize the SD My Life. I'll have to check it out though. We're always happy to review and reuse ideas from other states, as we all should, I think, right?
The more we know from what's going on around us.
Especially lately.
Well, are there any last questions that we have? Or like Amy said before, I think she popped off or wherever she went to, that if you wanted to go and explore, you certainly can. But if nothing else, I think.
You know, yep. Okay. Short and sweet.
Well, thank you so much today, Therese, for your time and showing us this great resource that we can utilize to compare information. And like you said, we'll bug you if we have questions.
Excellent. Thanks for the opportunity to share it. We love it. We want everybody to use something like it. Okay, bye everyone.